A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke, chapter 19, verses 11 to 31. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. While he had their attention, and because they were getting close to Jerusalem by this time, an expectation was building that God's kingdom would appear any minute, he told this story. There was once a man descended from a royal house who needed to make a long trip back to headquarters to get authorization for his rule and then return. But first, he called 10 servants together, gave them each a sum of money, and instructed them, "Operate with this until I return." But the citizens there hated him, so they sent a commission with a signed petition to oppose his rule. "We don't want this man to rule us." When he came back, bringing the authorization of his rule, he called those 10 servants to whom he had given the money to find out how they had done. The first said, "Master, I doubled your money." He said, "Good servant, great work. Because you have been trustworthy in this small job, I am making you governor of 10 towns." The second said, "Master, I made a 50% profit on your money." He said, "I am putting you in charge of 5 towns." The next servant said, "Master, here is your money safe and sound. I kept it hidden in the cellar. To tell you the truth, I was a little afraid. I know you have high standards and hate sloppiness and don't suffer fools gladly." He said, "You are right, that I don't suffer fools gladly, and you have acted the fool. Why didn't you at least invest the money in securities so I would have gotten a little interest on it?" Then he said to those standing there, "Take the money from him and give it to the servant who doubled my stake." They said, "But master, he already has double." He said, "That's what I mean. Risk your life and get more than you ever dreamed of. Play it safe and end up holding the bag. As for these enemies of mine who petitioned against my rule, clear them out of here. I don't want to see their faces around here again." After saying these things, Jesus headed straight up to Jerusalem. When he got near Bethphage and Bethany, at the mountain called Olives, he sent off 2 of the disciples with instructions. "Go to the village across from you. As soon as you enter, you will find a colt tethered, one that has never been ridden. Untie it and bring it. If anyone says anything, asks, 'What are you doing?' say, 'His master needs him.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Reflection on Gospel according to Luke chapter 19, verses 11 to 31. The Eucharistic liturgy brings us today to the parable of the talents according to Lucan version. We are before an eloquent and clear parable, but it also contains its hidden mystery because it speaks not only of productiveness and laziness, but of other things as well. God gives us all precious gifts to use, but not to abuse. We are free to use them and free to take initiatives, but only for a good purpose. Every gift is fruitful and becomes part of what grows and develops. Although we are not all poets or musicians, in some way we are all artists. In our hands we have the talents tools and materials to create the most beautiful work of art, which is our own life as a gift from God to others. And there is nothing more fulfilling in this life than the satisfaction that comes from seeing this piece of art getting completed as the most beautiful work. The third servant, for the wrong reasons, takes the center stage in the parable today. The reason he gives for not making his talent bear fruit was fear. He was scared of his master. Curiously, he is not afraid of confessing it directly to the same master that caused him so much fear. In this parable, we are warned against fear. Fear is a negative and paralyzing emotion. It manages to freeze our best resolutions. Do we realize that we make more decisions by not making a decision than by actually making a decision? How does one go from fear to decision? Perhaps the secret is in telling it to be silent, in not giving it power, in not letting it dominate our ideas and our will. Whoever carries his or her fears as if it is his or her walking cane is condemned to be trapped in its chains. Therefore, a word of caution. After praying this parable, if the image of a very demanding and inflexible God remains in our souls, we would be going wrong. Jesus is speaking here of himself, the God who is love. The image of God created by the fearful servant is a false image. They are different and opposite things.